I spent my career responding to other people's emergencies.
But nothing really ever prepares you for the day that you become the emergency. The words I never expected to hear come out of your mouth are, I'm having a heart attack. I'm Dayna,
And I'm Tony,
and this is Responding Together. So let's dive into this. Before we even got to the words of I'm having a heart attack, let's start with what happened leading up to those words. So tell us your side of the story.
How far back do you want me to go?
I
A couple
mean,
days, a couple hours,
what did
12
you do the day
hours.
before? What were you doing the
So
day before?
the day before, I was in a very beautiful place and was going to a very sought after beach, one of the famous beaches in the world. Not the most famous, but it was in the top 10. And one of the ways to get there is hiking. And you drive this, it's like a hour long driveway to get to the top of this mountain, and you hike down. Go to the beach, enjoy the natural beauty, and then you hike back up. And it's about a mile and a half each way, but it's very steep. So I didn't,
You've shown me pictures.
oh yeah, I hiked. It's beautiful. Highly recommend it for a travel destination. Reach out and I'll let you know where it is. But yeah, so that's what I did the day before. My colleague and we got back to the hotel. I went with one of our pilots to grab some dinner. Had some dinner. Had a conversation with um, one of my with my medical director actually, because of some things going on with scheduling and just a lot of things that were extremely stressful to me. And there were already some stressful points going on, not associated with my full time job preceding this. So let's set that stage right there.
Hmm.
It had to do with another situation. Um,
Right.
so
So stress on
this
top
was
of
a
stress at
stress
this point.
heavy, yes, this was a stress heavy deployment. And so yeah, get back from dinner, and I'm like, I think I talked to you for a little bit
Hmm.
and went to bed. Um, and yeah.
Okay. So that was the day before, the day
hmm
of. What happened after you woke
So
up that morning?
I woke up about 12:30 in the morning. Um, every time I would lay down, it like just the heartburn was ridiculous. I just I was drinking cold water like I couldn't get enough of it. Um, every time I would lay down, it would get worse. And it felt like only heartburn, nothing else. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking, great, the pasta. It was the very first time I had pasta over in Europe, and it was one of those. All right, I'm going to give it a shot. Hopefully, it doesn't hurt me because I'm in the States. I've been gluten
Right.
intolerant since 2010, or at least knowingly. So, but everybody's like, well, pasta's different in Europe, which it is. Just so that is that is the fact. It is different
Yeah.
in Europe. So I actively eat pasta in Europe, so it wasn't that obviously. Um, but yeah, I thought it was an indigestion from dinner. So um, I had a actually a group chat with some friends of mine that night. Video chat with them, and I had gotten off of that, and the heartburn was still super persistent.
Hmm.
Um, so, and then I'm like, it started to feel a little bit of pressure on like the left side of my chest, but well,
Hmm.
what we call substernal chest pressure. But I just chalked it up to being heartburn, indigestion.
Right.
Um, so the we have all of our equipment on site here. So I went downstairs at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it was, and did a 12 lead on myself just to make sure. And
Yeah.
everything was good. Everything was negative. So I'm like, all right, well, let me try to go back to bed, drink some more ice cold water, and try to get some sleep. I think I called you at that point.
I think we
Um,
were texting, like you had woken up
yeah.
or I had woken up. I don't know. Something woke me up. I know that much because it was about
Well, at that point,
three
I
or
mean,
four
it
in the
it
morning,
was
my
three.
time,
No, it was 3 or 4 in the morning here.
your
It
time.
was,
Okay. So it was
yeah,
like afternoon, my time. Yeah.
correct. So I go back to sleep, and I get up about, I don't know, 7 or 8. So I got 4-ish hours of sleep. Um, and I go downstairs to the hotel restaurant to get some breakfast, which is my normal routine. I sat down at the bar because we always sit down, like the bar area, which is where they serve the breakfast. And I put in my order, um, for just something to drink, and got some fresh squeezed orange juice. Didn't want any coffee, and I had zero appetite, like no
Hmm.
appetite. I took one sip of that orange juice, and I just felt sick to my stomach. And
Yeah.
I was like, something's just not like, I just wasn't feeling good. So I just chalked it up again to whatever I had the night before. Whatever I ate was just not. I wasn't dealing well with it.
Right. Which we're
So
used to, like
yeah,
with you and
that's
food. We're really used to that with the different, you don't always eat gluten free here in the States. So you just deal with the, upset
deal with the
stomach or
consequences.
and the consequences of it.
Yep. So that's what I chalked it up to be. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just do another 12 lead again. So about 8:30 that morning, I went back out to where all of our equipment is, ran another 12 lead, just to, I don't know. It was that was one of the things in my mind. I was like, all right, I just need to make sure this is not my heart. I just need to make sure that's not my heart. And we all know, for those of us that have been in this job long enough as medics, 12 lead is only one thing to evaluate if you are having a STEMI or NSTEMI, a cardiac event. It is not
Hmm.
the end all diagnostic tool. It is a
No.
diagnostic tool. Um, at that point, the chest pressure was a little bit more persistent. The burning was definitely there, and so I texted, my my medical the rest of the medical team that I'm deployed with. I was like, hey, my chest just isn't feeling good. I'm not feeling good. And of course, my flight nurse, being my flight nurse, she was like,
Thank God for her.
she's like, she's like, Tony, you really should get checked out. I'm like, I'll be
Yeah.
fine. She's like, no, no, I think you need to get checked out. I could pull up the text messages, from that day, and tell you exactly what it was, but it was something extent of, no, we're taking you to get checked out. So that set off the cascade of events of, her telling, the hotel manager and the, one of the other, business, managers for the hotel, who we're really good friends with, and of course they get all spun up and they're like, okay, we'll grab the car. You meet us, and so so on to the
Yeah.
hospital we go. So
Okay, so
yeah.
you get to the hospital. You get to the hospital
Hmm.
and you're at the ER at this point for the hospital, right?
Correct. And it's about 9:15, 9:30 at this point.
I
So,
think you started texting me at this
because that,
point too.
yeah, yeah, I think so, because I thought it was all GI related. I really did.
Right.
Um, and so, we get there, and I'm in a hospital in a foreign country, and it's like, not many people speak English. There were some that actually spoke pretty good English, but thankfully I had our the hotel manager um, and the other gentleman with us, and they were able to translate flawlessly. So as soon as they told them what I was experiencing, they got me into, which they don't say they have an ER. They say that they have the tools, but it's not categorized as an ER. But it was a private hospital um, versus the public hospital. And with socialized medicine, that makes a difference. Um, and that's a no, we won't talk about socialized medicine. But I
No.
was at the private hospital. They said this is where you want to be if you're having anything going on. So that's where we went. So they get me all start an IV, cardiac monitor, vitals, the whole 9 yards. Draw tons of labs, um, and the the doctor that was there comes in, talks to me. I said I really think it's GI related. Don't know what's going on. These are my symptoms, and they're like, okay, well we're gonna we'll run some tests and see what we can see. All
Hmm.
the labs come back. Everything's normal. Um, they did do troponin. They did CBC, um, CMP, all the normal tests that you have done when you go into the ER. They did,
Right.
and nothing was abnormal. Everything was good. Chest X-ray was fine. Then they're like, well, since you're having chest pressure, we called in the cardiologist who rode his bicycle to the hospital because that's what the on-call cardiologist does. And he, so in Europe, in this particular country, the cardiologist, they don't have like ultrasound techs, and so they do have radiology techs, rad techs. But when you're doing um, an ultrasound, an echo, um, the cardiologist is actually the one that does it. So
Hmm.
he actually did my echocardiogram. They brought me; it was in his office. So in his office in the hospital, he did my echo, and they wheeled me back in the wheelchair back to the not so ER. And he when he did the echo, he's like, "Your heart looks fine." He's like, "Everything's working as it should. Yeah, I can see all four chambers clearly. Um, valves look good. Everything looks to be as it should." So he's like, "We'll wait for the second troponin to be drawn in 3 hours, and we'll go from there." And so I was like, "Okay." So we go back to there and we wait, and um, the chest pressure it ebbs and flows, which was concerning to me. But considering that my first troponin was negative, I'm like, the second's not going to be positive. It'll be negative. He'll give me something for the acid reflux, and I'll go back to the hotel. And
Hmm.
I'm like three, no, I'm like 5 or 6 days away from going home. I think at this point
Yeah.
until the end of my deployment. So I'm close to the end.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're texting
so
me at this point. So we were texting back and forth
yep,
at this point. It
yeah, I
was
was
3 or 4 in the
giving you
morning.
updates. Yep.
You were like, I'm at the hospital. I
Well,
don't want you to worry.
exactly, exactly. Um, So they come in, do my repeat labs, and they were Johnny on the spot with that. I mean, they didn't delay at all. When it was time to draw, they were in there drawing. It was fantastic. Um, so they draw my labs, and it felt like forever. I want to say it was probably like 15, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. But in any event, the cardiologist comes in. He's like, "Well, good news is your first troponin is negative." I'm like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "But your second troponin is positive." And he looks at me. He's like, "You're having a heart attack." And I'm just,
Yeah,
at
at
this
that
point,
point, you're texting me.
I'm in disbelief. And then I think I texted you,
Hmm.
and then I called you.
Yeah, we video chatted.
And I mean, Mo's looking at me. She's like, "What?" And I'm like, He said I'm having a heart attack." And it was just I never thought that that would be me. And so
Mhm.
when I called you, I said, "Babe, I'm having a heart attack. They're going to take me to the cath lab." And so that's when we had that conversation.
Yeah.
And all the while, we my boss, both of my bosses, my medical director, they're all aware of what's going on. My flight nurse, she's getting everybody up to speed back in the states, as far as my employer, to keep them abreast of the situation and whatnot. So yeah, so I call you, and then I don't really remember what happens after that before they take me to the cath lab.
Yeah, I mean, you're just kind of looking at me in the camera, because we were video chatting at that point, and I was like, "Are you serious?" You were telling me that they're gonna take you to the cath lab to go see what's going on, and I'm, like,
Yep.
freaking out because we're thousands of miles apart at this point. I can't just run down to the hospital and check on you. I mean, you're several plane rides away. So I start making phone calls. So I'm calling my parents and it's going straight to voicemail. My parents live about 20 minutes from us.
And
They had their
and
phones on do.
what time in the morning?
Oh, this is like 5 a.m.
It was what, 4 o'clock in the morning,
And what's funny,
4 or 5, yeah, because
5,
it was
5.
seven
Yeah, it was
hours
about
ahead.
5. So
Yep.
yes. So what's interesting is I'm going to preface my day before finding out that he had a heart attack. I got our gas and electric bill and it was absolutely insane. And then there was a portion of the bill, which I still have never gotten explained to me on my app, that says we've actually used like $20,000 worth of electricity. So I had a meltdown the day before, freaking out to my parents about what was going on and like, am I going to be having to pay a $20,000 bill? What is going on? I don't understand. And the bill came through the next day, thankfully. So I had already had some meltdown with my parents, but I called my parents
Hmm.
and I'm trying to get a hold of them. Neither one of them is answering. So I'm like, I'm going to try my sister. She lives about 45 minutes away. So I call her, wake her up, and she's like, what's going on? I said, I can't get a hold of mom and dad. Anthony's deployed. She knew this. And I was like, he's having a heart attack and I need to get a hold of mom and dad. Because part of the reason we were like frantically trying to figure out is because you were going to go to the cath lab, but because of it being a private hospital, they wanted a financial guarantee that they were going to be paid before sending you to the cath lab.
Hmm.
So your flight nurse is on
Yep.
her end trying to track down everybody in the company that's over there, like company credit cards to start like swiping. She's like,
Credit
I'm just
cards.
gonna, she's like, I don't know what the balance is on what the like limits is on each of these cards, but I'm
We're
just
gonna
gonna
find
start
out.
swiping them. Yeah. So she's on that end doing that. I'm over here trying to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to get money that I don't necessarily have saved up at this point over so he can have this life saving, you know, heart cath done. So I'm trying to get a hold of my parents. I'm like, I don't
and
know what to do. So yeah.
and mind you,
So I don't know what
the
to,
amount that they said that they wanted was $10,000, or
yeah,
ten thousand euros.
$10,000, 10,000 euros,
Yep.
which if you'd like convert that to American dollars is very little compared to what a heart cath here in the United States costs. So, very thankful for the location
It's a
that he
fraction of the
had
cost.
his heart attack in. It was a fraction of the cost. The hospital stay and everything was just a fraction of the cost. So I called, got a hold of my sister. She's like, woke her husband up. She's like, who are you going to call? She's like, I'll call one, you call the other. And I'm like, okay, I'll try calling mom, you try calling dad. Finally, their phones went off of do not disturb and they forgot to turn on the little setting where you can favorite numbers that are allowed through when you're on do not disturb. So we got that resolved. But finally got a hold of my dad because my sister had told them, you need to talk to Dayna needs to talk to you like now. So got a hold of my dad finally and just told him, hey, this is what's going on. Here's where he's at. He's having a heart attack. I don't know what to do. Well, and the funny thing is I prefaced this conversation, I wasn't freaking out. I said, I'm calm. I need you guys to remain calm. And mom was like, this is a stark contrast from you having your own meltdown over an electric bill yesterday. So, um, So I said, I'm calm. I need you to remain calm. And so I told them what was going on. Dad's looking up the hospital because my dad's a doctor. So he's looking up information there. We're trying to figure out the financial side of things until we got word that it was going to be covered. We were going to work it out after the fact between where you were staying, your company, us, all of that. And the hotel or the
Yeah.
hospital was okay with that. So they took that. I got off the phone with you, or with them, called you back, found out that everything was going to be figured out after the fact, and the hospital took the guarantee because I think the hotel guaranteed, which then your
Yeah.
company
So
then
the
covered some
hotel,
things. So
my our yeah, our friends here at the hotel, we've got a really good relationship with a few of the people here in management, and basically the hotel fronted the financial guarantee. Like it wasn't even a second thought. They said, "We've got it. You need this," because
yeah,
and I don't know if I told you this, is that they were talking about transferring me to the community hospital for the
right, to have
cath
it
lab
done. Yeah.
because initially, I didn't have $10,000 just to
No,
hand
we
them and
didn't.
say, "Here
I
you
mean,
go."
we maybe could have
So
put it on your company card, but I
yeah,
don't know.
but the
I
the
don't know.
fact of the matter is that when the guys that were there heard what was going on, they said, I think they said, we're going to make a phone call and we're going to take care of this,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah.
did, and
Yep.
and it was yeah,
Yes. Not I mean, there was just God's hand was in all of this.
yep.
From where you were located to in Europe having this heart attack, to the financial side of things where, here in the United States, you're looking at, from an ER visit, a heart cath, then having to stay in an ICU and then hospital because they're not always going to release you. Some hospitals would release you here in the States after having a heart cath after a day or two, but some don't. And so we were looking at, if this had happened in the States, $250,000 or more. Um, so very thankful for, God's hand being in it, and just knowing. And the other thing of this is, so after I hung up with my parents, I talked to you because you were like, I'm about to go into the cath lab. And, I could see the fear on your face because you've been with patients where you've taken them to the cath lab and that was the last time that you saw them.
I've
They
done
didn't.
CPR on my patients in the cath lab. Like
Yeah.
it was those situations where we got them there, but that's as far as we got.
Yeah. So,
And
uh,
at this point, I don't know how bad things are. I know that my troponin was
no.
extremely positive for the second lab draw, which meant I was actively having that cardiac event, like
Right,
in the hospital.
which is interesting that it started like, you had the chest pain for what, 8 to 10 hours
It
before
was
actually going to the
from the
hospital?
time that it started to the time that first positive troponin, uh, you know, the positive troponin resulted. It was
Mhm.
12 hours
Yeah.
of symptoms, which is not your it's not your normal when you're having a heart
No.
attack. Typically,
It's
it's and it varies by patient, but typically, if you're having a heart attack, it's a smaller
shorter.
window.
Mhm. So, I'm just looking at the terror on your face as like, I'm really sorry. I love you. I will talk to you after." And I was like, "I will talk to you after." And then this is at the point you go back to the cath lab. This is the point where I break down and I call my friend Heather. I call and it goes to voicemail first because it's still 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I had called our pastor. He was on a sabbatical with his phone off. I had called. I think you had let our friend Chris know. So Chris had called me. Um, so I'm like, "What do you need? What do you need?" I'm like, "I don't even know right now," because like I'm freaking out at this point. It finally hits me. I think that what's going on. And so I call my friend Heather. She ends up calling me back. She's like, What's going on?" And I barely got the words out through tears. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, Dana." She's like, "I am so sorry I'm not there." Because they were this was July, 4th of July weekend. So 2 years ago. So she was away for, I think something for one of her kids. And, she's like 5 hour drive away. She's like, I'm so sorry that I am not there right now. If I was there, I would just be wrapping you and I'd be right over. I was like, I know, I know. She's like, what do you need? I'm like, I don't know right now. She's like, let me pray for you. So she prayed over the phone. I finally calmed down. I called your mom because your mom at that point lived 15 minutes away.
Yep.
And it wasn't the phone call I expected, to be honest with you. I was expecting a, more being more upset about the fact that, or, it was just a, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. So that was kind of like, oh my, your son's having a heart attack in another country, and that's the response that I get. Okay. So, I kept her as much information as I could get her to just let her know that you were in the cath lab. We were waiting to find out. And it was about an hour and a half before I heard from you specifically. I think I heard from Mo first that you were out of the cath lab. And then I heard from you
Yeah.
about what ended up happening and what they did. Mo was like, I think they put a stent in. I think they
Hmm.
ballooned some areas. So when I finally heard from you, you were like, they put a stent in because the right diagonal at your LAD was almost 100% blocked.
My second diagonal
Second diagonal.
was 100%. The LAD was 60%,
Yeah.
which yeah,
That's where they put the stent.
yeah, and that's where they put the stent. And they ballooned three other. They ballooned the second diagonal, and there were three other small areas that they ballooned that were like 99%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they put in a
So essentially, it was a widowmaker that had they not gotten to it, it would have
well,
taken it.
it wasn't a widowmaker. So a widowmaker is it was in the vessel that
Yes,
people will say, well, that's widowmaker, but it was only 60% occluded.
right. But if we
So
had not gotten,
well,
uh,
there's
we don't know what
there's no
we don't
telling
know
how much
what would have
longer
happened.
that would have taken. The fact of the
Right.
matter is,
It was blocked
there
and needed to be,
there were some issues that needed to be
yeah.
addressed,
And
and they were addressed.
they caught it in time before there was significant heart damage, which is a
Yeah.
God thing in and of itself. Like, your heart now, 2 years later, is doing really well. Um,
Yeah, I
so
mean, according to my cardiologist after I got back to the States, every like my heart looked great. Um,
right.
my ejection fraction was normal. I had, from what they could tell, I have no heart damage from that.
Yeah. So at this point, I had heard from you. You had told me what happened. Mo had told me what happened. Your medical director and was it all three that? No, it was just medical director and supervisor called
Yeah,
to kind of give me the medical rundown because they, I guess, talked to the cardiologist and got the lay of the land. And they, were talking to me and they're like, okay, so what do you want us to do? Because I had already had friends, and a couple of your friends texting, be like, hey, we'll get you a plane ticket to get over there. Like, let us just get you a plane ticket. And so I was like, let me talk to see what's going on from his supervisors first and hear from that. So they called me. They were like, okay, so what would you like to do? And I said, well, I would really like to go see my husband. So either I'm going to be figuring out a way to get over there, or you're going to be helping me get over there. Like, pick which one. You also had, I talked to one of your pilots when I did get over there. um he was
yeah,
like I was ready to fire up the plane and fly Anthony back to the States.
yeah. And
I was,
I had found out that that our chief pilot had called um, our medical director and said, "Hey, we've got the aircraft ready. Just let us know when he needs to go."
yeah, they were going to bring
So
you back. And
they were going to bring him back to the States.
had we not been able to come back commercially, I think that's what would have ended up happening, but we were able to come back commercially. So they ended up putting me in contact with their the person that books all the travel in the company. And she got me last minute plane tickets, first class, which was really nice, but made me really nervous too. I'm not a flying's not my strength. So it makes me nervous. So I had to keep telling myself, I flew on the 4th of July. First off, first international flight ever. And we had thought, I think I had my passport for a year at this point. We had thought a year ago, because you were like, I really want to take you over with me one day when I go deploy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, well, I'm going to need my passport. So we went ahead and got me my passport, and that was about a year prior to,
Yep.
you having your heart attack. So thank God that we had a common sense to do that, because I wouldn't have been able to even go over if I didn't have my passport.
Well, they would have helped you get an emergency passport.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would not have been able to leave the day that you did.
No, I wouldn't have been able to leave the day that I did. So I get to, my mom ends up coming over and staying with the kids. Well, first off, before I even get to flying, I had to tell our kids what happened. So I'm home with our 5 kids. Our
Hmm.
oldest had
Yeah.
our oldest was home, our middle was daughter was home. Our second oldest had spent the night at a friend's and was working that morning at the camp that she was working at. I called my company. I worked from home at this point, and I said, "Hey, this is what's going on. I'm not going to be at work. I will put in the PTO at a later point in time. I don't know how long I'm going to be gone, but I'm just letting you know this is what's going on." They're like, "Yeah, you do what you need to do." Um, they were fantastic with that.
Hmm.
Then I, woke my oldest up, and I said, "Hey, here's what's going on." She was on break from camp, so she worked summer camp all that summer, and it was the week that she was off. So I said, "Here's what's going on. Your dad has had a heart attack. I'm getting ready. I'm going to be flying over either later this afternoon or tomorrow," which then that was the third, so it was going to be 4th of July, and we had made plans for 4th of July to do fireworks with family. We were trying to make it because you were not here, and it was the
Hmm.
second summer in a row that you were not there for 4th of
Yeah.
July, something like that. So, we were trying to make it fun for the kids and everything to, not think about dad not being home. And, so I woke her up and told her, she's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And so then I had to get everybody else up and sit them down and just say, "Hey, dad's had a heart attack. He is okay. The doctors have done what they needed to do to, make sure his heart is going back to being happy and doing what it's supposed to do. Um, but I'm going to need to fly over there." So, and they understood. Avonlea, our youngest, was not happy about mommy having to leave. She was very tearful. Um,
Hmm.
she's my clingy child. She's our COVID
Yep.
baby. So she
And
wasn't
she
well
was not. She
socialized.
was about. She was gonna be turning 5 that following week,
5. Yeah,
so
so I
she
had to
was
post
4 at
we had
that
to
point.
yeah, we were gonna have her birthday party the weekend you got back. Well, now I had to postpone her birthday party. So I did all those things that I needed to do. My mom came and stayed with the kids. I then had to go up to the camp, and I was texting her friend, our second oldest, her friend's mom, and I said, "Hey, is Ari already at work?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "So I'm coming up there. She doesn't know that I'm coming up there. But Anthony's had a heart attack. Please don't, I need to be the one to tell her, please don't say anything." She's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, no." And she's like, let me know if you need anything or what we can do." So I drive up to the camp, which is about 10 minutes away from our house. And I see Ari, and I'm, park, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I need to tell you something." I said, "Can we go sit down?" And she's like, "Is everything okay?" I said, "No, not really." And she was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Your dad's had a heart attack." And she just burst into tears. And she's like, "Is he okay? Is he fine? Is he going to be okay?" I said, "He is okay. He was in the right place that he needed to be to have everything taken care of." They put a stent in, they ballooned some other arteries, filled her in on everything. But she's like, "Oh my gosh, mom, is he going to be okay?" I was like, "He's going to be okay, but I'm going to have to go over there." Um, so, I was like, "You can come home with me, or you can stay and work." She's like, "I need something to distract me. I'm going to stay and work." And I was like, "Okay, I will come pick you up." Or she was going to have a friend bring her back down. Didn't have her driver's license at this point. So got the kids, told the kids, got back and started packing, started throwing everything I could. I didn't have time to throw a big suitcase together. I just threw my carry-on on and I was like, I don't want need to worry about luggage getting lost. So I went around town, getting all of the travel size of everything that I needed, to make sure that I had it all, threw in about 5 days worth of clothes and called it a day. Had my computer with me, all the things that I needed to hop on a plane the next day. Mom came and stayed with the kids. Dad took me to the airport, and I got on that first flight from Chattanooga to Atlanta, which was fine. Chattanooga is a great airport. It's super easy to get through security and
Mm-hmm.
all those things. So I was able to have no issues. Whereas Atlanta is a little bit crazy, when it comes to
Just a little
security.
bit.
So, oh my gosh, I mean, you wait in line forever.
Yeah.
So got to Atlanta, found where I needed to go for my international flight, and I just kept repeating in my head, "Just get on the plane. Just get on the plane." And it wasn't the Friends from Rachel or, Friends Rachel from Friends where it was, "I got off the plane." No, I got on the plane. I got myself on the 9-hour flight overseas. Um First international flight ever, and it was successful. Um, Made it, not without a few hiccups. There, apparently, I look like the country that you're. I look like I'm from the country that you are in, and so they treated. I blend in. I blend in well. And so I got the, not so kind treatment when I landed in said country.
Because they
So
expected you to know what you were doing.
and
That's yeah.
I didn't know where I was going. I had no idea. No one would tell me either. And I was like, so I had my own meltdown when I got to the airport before the last plane ride. So yeah, I got to where I needed to be after that. Um, and then finally got to you. Well, got to the hospital and I had come all this way. And what did I have to do before going to see you? The hospital required me to take a COVID test. And I was talking to your flight nurse and I was like, I'm going to be so mad if I've come all this way and this stupid COVID test is positive and I can't see you. Like, I'm going to be
Yeah.
livid. I do
That
not
that
want to
was
be.
that
I
was a
mean,
stressful 30 minutes.
it was very stressful because I had to have them do the test. I had to wait and they didn't come out with the results. I had to go up and be like, is there an answer to this? Is it positive? Is it negative? It was negative. Grabbed paper, ran up the stairs, handed it to the nurses up there, and I said, "What room is he in?" Open the door, and
I
there you were.
remember.
And we just, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it was. I mean, we both were just in tears. Like, I mean, I thought I was prepared, but I really wasn't. I wasn't prepared for an emergency to happen to us. I didn't have all my ducks in a row, like, and I'm usually a ducks in a row type of person. And I am a
Hmm.
planner. I didn't have all of that in a row. So, um, it was it was very much kind of flying by the seat of my pants when it came to getting over there. And, you know, I finally got over there. We were there for, it was a really quick turnaround too. So, um, I, um, we met with the cardiologist. Was it the next day? Did he come in the next day?
It
Yeah. And
was the
he wanted to
next
give
day,
you
and
next afternoon, I think. Um,
yeah,
and
he
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 wasn't
want he
going to
didn't want he didn't
discharge
want to
you till,
release me that day.
no, I really wanted him to release you that day, but he didn't want to release you that day. And he's like, no, I'd really like him to
Yeah.
take another day. I was like, oh, okay. Because it was they discharged you the morning before the day we were going to leave. So, and
Yeah.
it wasn't even clear if they were going to discharge you that day. We weren't sure. And the
Yeah.
only reason they were going to let you fly back commercially was if you had a medical escort. So your flight nurse had to fly back with us.
Hmm.
And fortunately,
Which
the
we
company organized all
both
of
her and I were already scheduled to come back on that day. So
right.
we were,
It was still your original day. They just had to switch tickets up.
yeah. So they sent us, the three of us, back all together, um, and
And our
not
one
not of
flight
course
ended up
without
oh, we had so many hiccups on the way back.
well, just a little bit of drama. I mean, one of the things with being on this side of it as a first responder, I have all kinds of things in my backpack while I'm here that I wouldn't fly, that I can't fly with thanks to security. So I had, my Leatherman in my backpack, and of course, you're packing all my stuff because I'm in the
And
hospital. So you're trying to get
yep.
all the bags ready and everything. And even when I come back, they went in through my arm, but I had some hellacious reaction to the contrast that they gave me, or something happened.
Mhm.
To
So
this day, I still don't
you
know
were
exactly what
severely
happened.
bruised on your
Yeah.
arm and on your
Yep.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to my arm, but my right arm, um, I had a hematoma. In layman's terms, it was a very, very, very bad bruise from my palm all the way up to my armpit.
Yeah.
Um, and they consider that like a grade 4 hematoma. That was actually one of the reasons why he didn't want me to
Didn't wanna discharge
to
you. Yeah.
discharge me right away, because he was concerned about my arm.
Right, and he
So
wasn't
all
even
all
sure
that
if flying was gonna be a good idea.
correct. So all that to say, when I got back to the room, I couldn't really do a whole lot as far as helping with
Mm-mm.
packing and stuff like that. It was,
And
and it
you'd been
wasn't
over there for
as
about a month.
yeah. I'd been there for a month at that point.
So, I mean, it wasn't like just 1 suitcase, it was a couple suitcases that we were trying
Yeah,
to pack.
suitcases, souvenirs, all that stuff.
Yeah. So, we finally I ended up having to check my little carry-on bag, which is fine, because of his Leatherman being in the wrong bag, so we put it
Yeah,
in my bag, and I went down and back down to the desk and checked it. It made it on the plane, it made it back fine.
yeah.
Um, we got to the first location,
Hmm.
and everything was fine. I got stopped by security just when we were going to the gate, and they're like, "Why do you have 2 bags?" I'm like, "Well, one's his, he can't carry it. I'm carrying my bag. It's my bag and his bag." Like, we looked very suspicious. We weren't suspicious, but we looked very
Yeah.
suspicious. So we had our international flight from Europe to back to Atlanta. And we weren't seated together on any of these.
Well, remember, we didn't go back to Atlanta. We went to DC.
Oh, that's right. We went to DC.
We we
Um,
had we had an additional
we had
connection.
an additional connection from
Yeah,
DC to
and
Atlanta,
that was
and that
that
was
was an adventure.
awful. Oh, it was awful. So we got to
I'll just say DC sucks.
oh, it does. We got
DC
to
sucks.
DC. We were fortunately, the person who was supposed to sit next to him was gracious enough to swap seats with me. So we got to sit next to each other so I could monitor him and everything, and it was fine. Our flight from DC to Atlanta, we were not seated together, and the person that was seated next to me was like very much, I paid for this seat and I did. And I'm like, dude, my husband just had a heart attack. I'm just asking if you could
No,
swap
that
seats.
was the Atlanta Chattanooga flight.
Was that the
We were
Atlanta?
able to,
No, we
yeah.
didn't make it to Chattanooga. We didn't make it to Chattanooga. That was the DC to
Oh,
Atlanta
that's
flight.
right. You're
We
right.
didn't make
You're
it
right.
to
You're right.
Atlanta.
Yep.
So the
I
DC
forgot about
flight
that.
actually was delayed multiple times because they didn't have enough staff to staff it. They didn't have enough flight attendants to staff it. So they had to wait for another flight attendant to come and land at the airport to then come. And looking back, I should have just gone to the desk and asked them to be like, "Hey, listen, our tickets were purchased separately because of the situation. Can you just put us together?" And I'm sure they would have done that, and it would have been on the flight people, telling the guy to move or whatever, versus and giving him a new ticket for his seat and everything. And so I mean, it was a tiny plane. It was like in first class, it was 2 seats and then 1 seat, and you were in the 1 seat, and I was in the window. We were each in window seats. You were in the 1 seat on the one side of the window, and I was in the other window seat. And we were across the aisle from each other, but it was like we just wanted this aisle seat for you to sit in. And I mean, he finally moved. He was nice to move and everything, but I was like, oh my gosh. And you were fed up at that point. You were angry at that point. You were just over it. I'm like, stop.
I was
Um,
I was over it. I was so
you were over
over
it.
it.
So it ended up because the flight from DC to Atlanta got delayed so much, we missed our connection from Atlanta to Chattanooga. And fortunately, I called my dad and I was like, is there, I think we're gonna, I think the fact that we're delayed so much will give you enough time. And he just drove down to Atlanta to pick us up. So we ended up getting which we had to do. So because whenever our luggage had made it through the international portion of, like, we had to pick up our luggage in DC and then put it back on the international flights. Once you guys get through
Yeah.
customs, you have to pick up your luggage, then you have to send it back. So we had sent it back to get onto the plane, to go to DC, to go from DC to Atlanta. And then we ended up, because our flight, we missed our flight, and so they knew that we had missed our flight, so our luggage actually came down in Atlanta,
Hmm.
and we were able to pick up our luggage, and not
Yeah.
have to wait for it, which was nice. So you had wheelchair assistance on all but one of the flights or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that helped to where we could get to where we needed to go to make connections and everything.
Yeah. Because
And we got
newsflash, after you have a heart attack, your body does not doesn't want to do things
it doesn't want,
as
I'm glad you didn't have to
like,
walk through the DC
oh
airport.
man, I
Yeah, it
well,
was,
that was one thing that the cardiologist was worried about. It was like, I don't want you exerting a lot of energy,
he wanted you
or
to stay in
any.
country for another couple of weeks.
Well, he wanted my total hospital stay to be about 10 days.
Right, and then he
So
also wanted he really didn't want you flying without a medical
traveling,
escort.
yeah.
So,
So, but
um
yeah, the wheelchair assistance, which is funny. I distinctly remember when I was in Atlanta to fly over for that deployment. I remember seeing how many Americans were in wheelchairs going over, and it just like it baffled my mind
right.
at how many people needed wheelchairs to fly. And here I am, needing
Yeah,
one because I just had a heart attack. I was like, oh my goodness.
yeah.
um
So
I still think it was silly, but
yeah.
whatever.
I mean, we made it back. We made it back, Dad. I mean, we didn't get back till 1 in the morning, and then we were
Yeah.
able to, while we were in air over from on the international flight, you were able to, you'd already set up seeing a cardiologist because of your family medical history. So you'd been seeing a cardiologist regularly
For a
already. So
couple
you
years
sent,
already. Yep.
yeah, so you sent a message to the portal and they got you in. You're like, I'm flying back today. They got
The
you in.
afternoon
The,
that we arrived.
yeah. So we got in at like 1 in the morning in Atlanta because of the
Yep.
delay, and they saw him like that afternoon at like 2.
2:30 in the afternoon on that
Yeah.
Tuesday.
So, the hospital from in Europe sent us with all of his paperwork, sent us with the CD of your
The
heart
videos of
cath
the
to where
Yep.
of everything, so you could look at it. Um, so he even showed us the heart cath in his office before we left the hospital. He showed
Yeah.
everything, and it wasn't, what's interesting, it was the last part of your heart that they looked at where the blockage was. Everything else had looked fine until he got to the last
Yep.
part. He even said,
That's
I
what
was
took so
wondering
long.
what I was, yeah, he was like, I was wondering where the blockage was and where the heart attack was because I'm looking and there's nothing. And then he was like, it was the last place that they examined in the heart cath where he was like, that's where it is.
Yep.
So, and he showed us that. So we had that to take to the cardiologist, and they were fantastic. They did, set you up for cardiac rehab, to get back into the swing of,
Hmm.
exercising regularly, and doing the things that you need to do to keep your heart healthy. It even says in your medical records from overseas to stick with a
Eat a
Mediterranean
Mediterranean
diet,
diet.
eat a
Yeah.
Mediterranean diet. Um,
Yep.
so it
Serious
turned
as a heart
out,
attack.
yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And looking
Yes.
back, I do distinctly remember there were times where you would just come into our room and you'd just be pressing on your chest. And I was like, are you okay? And you're like, I think so. Just a little twinge or whatever. And, the more I think about it, I don't know what would have happened if this had happened
Yeah.
while you were home. Like, would we have gone to the hospital? I mean, would you have just brushed it off as, oh, it's no big deal? I mean, I think most first responders do that because they don't think that an emergency is going to happen to them.
Yep.
I think they know in their head what all the signs and symptoms are of having a heart attack or having another medical event happen to them. They know what it is, but when it actually is they're the ones going through it, I think they just think twice. I'm like, oh no, that'll never happen to me. But you're in a career field that's highly stressful. So, most,
Can be. Yep.
yeah, a lot of first responders do suffer from, heart attacks, because of the stressful
Hmm.
environment that they work in. Um, so and we were prepared enough for me to have my passport, but beyond that, we were not. So it really got me thinking about what we needed to do to prepare for the next emergency. And I don't say that with saying that there's going to be another emergency. I really pray and hope that there never is another emergency, but I want us to be better prepared. So I started thinking about what all I needed to have in place as far as, documents if something happened to where, someone needed access to any, bank accounts, documents, paperwork for one or both of us, stuff for the kids. So I put together what I called a go folder. And I remember a few months after, kind of showing you what I had put together, and you were like, this is fantastic. I don't know
Hmm.
if anybody else has ever had something like this. And it really is just a couple of pages of quick information that would be necessary to hand over to someone. Like, it could have been something, had I had put together, I could have handed over to my mom and said, here's all the instructions. Here's all the important emergency phone numbers that you might need. Here's, information if I need you to go and pay a bill for me while I'm gone. Here's, information about, medical information about the kids. Here's information about the dogs. Here's, it was something I could have easily just handed over to her, so she had that to, prepare, to take care of the kids while I was gone. And I was like, you know what? And you even told me you should, put this out there for other first responder
Yep.
families to have. So that's what I've done. I've put it together. I have it linked on my link tree, and we'll post that link in the show notes for this episode, so you can have access to it, and it's free, y'all. Um, it's a free download for you. I didn't want this to be this is meant to be something short, simple, to the point in a, emergency, not giving your whole life story away, because that's for another thing. I mean, I have another folder that has everything in it. It's our family vault, I call it. And that's coming. I'm actually making it prettier, because it's right now it's just a conglomeration of all of our documents. And I was like, I really need to make this more detailed. So I'm making it more detailed, and I'm going to have that available down the road, hopefully in a few weeks, for first responder families. Um, and have it at, the vault that kind of keeps everything all in one place, from your will, from your medical directives, your budget, your bank accounts, anything and everything that you would need quick access to.
All the
Um,
important stuff.
all the important information, your life insurance policy. By the way, if you don't have a life insurance policy, we highly recommend that you get a term life
Hmm.
insurance policy. Um, I'm very thankful that we had accident insurance policy and critical care policies in place. I highly recommend having those too, because our critical care covered a lot of the expenses while you were on FMLA and short-term disability. So that filled in the gap for, any type of bills that came in, and expenses that we had while because everybody knows when you're on short-term disability, it doesn't pay you what your regular paycheck pays you.
Nope.
Which is, I think, is so dumb, because it's like, well, still have your bills to pay. That doesn't change, and your income covers your bills. So, and then you're reducing your income temporarily, and so there's bills that don't get paid, which is why you have these things like AFLAC, to help cover, in emergency. So, I highly recommend getting these things in place in the event of an emergency happens, because I know we definitely were sort of prepared, but we weren't really prepared. Now I know when and if the next emergency happens, we're going to be prepared for it. I'll be able to hand that information over to whoever needs to go to while I'm taking care of said emergency. Um, but, or you're taking care of said emergency if it's me, the one that has the emergency. So, that was one of the things that it's really important to have a plan. Like, to talk through these different scenarios, talk through with your first responder and, your spouse about what to do in the event of this situation, what to do in the event I have a heart attack, what to do in the event that, we're in a car accident, what to do in the event, the house catches on fire. You know, have a plan in place because you don't know when an emergency is going to happen. We like to think we're invincible. I know I like to think that I'm invincible and that nothing's going to ever happen to me or nothing's ever going to happen to you, but
Or the
that's not the
kids.
case. Or the kids. We live
Yeah.
in a world that is broken and things happen, life happens. Um, so I really encourage you to have a plan, and if you don't have a place, a folder that has all the information that you need in an emergency event, grab our Go folder. Again, it's linked in our link tree to where you can access it, and it's just a quick download for you, PDF download for you to be able to fill out. I actually have mine in a presentation folder, so it has a cover image, and then it has all the details in it. Because I like I'm a teacher, so I like to make things pretty. So I made this one pretty, so it's no longer just everything's written down on notebook paper. it's got it's got it all there together. But I mean, looking back, I can see God's hand over and how he orchestrated everything from the financial aspect to getting me over there to you being at the hospital when your heart attack happened.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that. Not many people can say that my heart attack actually started when I was at the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that.
It was a it was a pretty um, interesting, difficult, um, challenging, whatever kind of adjective you want to put in
Yeah,
there, season.
it was.
Um, and
But we came out of it stronger on the other side.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. I think that really, not think, it really enhanced our closeness,
Mhm.
um, and our appreciation
Yeah.
uh, for not just um, other people that helped, but most certainly each other.
Yeah. It
So
definitely came at a time. I mean, we were in a pretty good groove of things, I'll be honest with you. You were deploying regularly, which was unheard of. It's not
yes,
what we signed up for to begin with the company that you're with. We just signed up for being stateside, but because of, different logistics that went on, they needed stateside
hmm,
people to cover overseas. So you were deploying fairly regularly.
yeah,
Um, so it was definitely it came at a season where we just needed that time together because you were out of work for 3 months. You
two
didn't go back
two
to work till
months.
yeah, you didn't go back to work till September 1st, I think, because you flew back overseas the day you
Yep,
went back to work.
the first day I was
The
officially
first
back
day
to work,
back.
I
Hey,
was
we need you to go overseas.
on my way back to Europe. So
Yeah, that was a little nerve-wracking. His first trip over there was definitely it was definitely I was used to being able to reach over and just be like, "Okay, is he okay? Is he breathing? Is his heart
yeah,
beating? Is everything okay?" To all of a sudden, you're back to being thousands of miles
yeah,
away, and I can't monitor all the things, and it definitely upped my anxiety a little bit. I had to not that I don't trust the Lord, I do trust the Lord, but I think that I was at a place where I needed to trust him more with you because I can't protect you. That's not, I mean, it's not my job to protect you. It's his job to protect you. And as much as I wanted to protect you, and I know vice versa, that's not either of our jobs. It's God's job to protect us
mhm,
and our job not to make stupid decisions too. So
yeah.
I'm not going to put myself out there to, ask for an emergency to happen. Um,
Well,
but
and here's something. So I'm going to speak to the first responders, um, because a lot of times, we give the job front and center, control of our lives, access to our lives. So I had pushed to get back to work. Um, so after actually, it technically wasn't even 2 months from the time that I had gotten home after my heart attack to when I went back to work. It was less than 2 months. Don't do that to yourself. If you have a major medical event, take the time that you need. Yeah, we were looking at the financial aspect of it, and hey, my FMLA doesn't pay diddly squat, and uh, yeah, while these other things helped us get through, financially speaking, you know, I was chomping at the bit because I was going stir crazy in the house, and the whole cabin fever thing with not getting out and doing things. But I had also gotten into the routine of doing work, you know, being in functioning in that capacity. So um, when I went back, that flight over was not only was it extremely stressful because I was leaving home for the first time since the heart attack, um, but something that I learned when you have a heart attack, it does something to your body um, in every aspect, from the emotional standpoint, mental standpoint, obviously the physical standpoint. Um, and I actually had been one of my well, the flight nurse that was with me, when I had it, she was like, "You need to look into getting some counseling." um, because a lot of people will hit periods of depression after a heart attack. And it's
Yeah.
true. It's extremely true. So there's a lot of things that, looking back, I should have done differently than I did. Um, and that first flight, like I said, it was stressful because it was going away, but it was extremely stressful because just commercial. If you fly commercial, especially internationally, it's great when everything's smooth sailing, when your flights are on time, you get the seats you want. But when things don't go well, that stress can be amplified significantly. And it it was,
It
it
wasn't
was
the
a,
best trip over, if I remember
it
correctly.
was one of the worst trips over, actually. I think to this day, it was still the worst flight over that I had ever had
I
because
think one
of.
of your bags didn't make it.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that
and
the
that
trip?
wasn't the worst of it. That was just kind of icing on the cake. Um, the the company that we use to book the flights had canceled my flight. My flight had gotten delayed, for one, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just um, Delta gave me a rebooking option for this other flight to get over, and it was just as good as the other one that I had been booked on that had gotten it actually didn't get delayed; it got canceled. So all that to say, things did not go as planned, and just shy of 2 months after a heart attack, the last thing I needed to introduce into my life was more stress. So work is always going to need you back, but work can always produce somebody else to fill your spot. You are replaceable at work. Don't forget that. And I don't mean that to scare you and, oh, you're going to lose your job. No. What I'm saying is you need to take care of yourself. The job is always going to be there. There's always going to be a company out there that you can work for. There's always an EMS agency out there that needs paramedics, that needs EMTs. There's always a fire department out there that needs, warm body and in um, in leather boots and a turnout gear. There's always a police department that needs a badge and a gun. All these places that we provide um, assistance to, that we're employed by. There's tons of them out there. Am I saying to throw your career away? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is you need to advocate for yourself more than you normally do,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to your health and your family. So don't neglect your health, and definitely don't neglect your family. But a lot of times we get emotionally caught up in our decisions when it relates to stuff like this,
Mhm.
and we pull the trigger on something that, me taking the 2 year look back, I wouldn't have done. I shouldn't have
Mhm.
done. I should not have done that. And yeah, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but a um, just a bird's eye view of what had happened, um, versus what I would do now, having all the information I did and seeing how that, I mean, it could have put me back in the hospital pretty quickly. So don't do that to yourself. Take care of yourself, take care of your body, heal up, and come back the way that you need to come back stronger. It's just, it's not worth it. And yeah, I'm thankful that I didn't have another cardiac event during that first deployment back. I actually ended up getting salmonella while I was over there, so it's like, okay, add one more thing.
Fun
That that
times.
that was another stressor. So my goodness,
Mhm.
there's just so much.
Yeah.
Um, but all that to say, take care of yourself.
Yes.
Um, take the time that you need to recover and come back stronger, because the people that you're serving, the people that you're taking care of, the people that you go home to, your family, they need that. They need you to be at your best. And you can't be at your best if you are not putting in the time to heal. And that's hard
Yeah.
for us.
Oh,
We
it
are
is.
some of the worst patients.
Yes.
Paramedics, nurses, doctors, EMTs. If you're in the medical field, we can be some pretty pain in the butt patients. Let's be honest. Um, but we have to. We got to take our medicine just like everybody else does. We got to take that time off just like everybody else should, and you got to take care of yourself. So that's uh, my shout out to all of you who are on the truck, on the ambulance, um, in the on the highways and the streets, keeping our homes and our communities safe from a law enforcement standpoint. Um, Take care of yourself. It's true. It's like kind of like with the scene safety for when we're on an EMS call, or being dispatched on an EMS call for domestic or whatever it is. We got to take care of ourselves and our partner first. That's our first priority. The patient comes second. The patient does not come first. I come first. My partner comes first along with me, and the patient comes second.
Yeah.
You gotta take care of yourself.
Yep. And if you are, supporting your first responder, those of you supporting your first responder, you know, have those conversations together about, what to do in an emergency. Have those conversations about, if something happens to even you as the first responder spouse, like what do you want your first responder to do? Um, and also, talk about, you know, have these conversations about work life balance, because you need that. You need that downtime together. You need that the time is, that is what is important. Your family comes first. And so we just want you all to feel that you have the tools that you need in order to um, have the plan in place should an emergency event happen to you, like it happened to us.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did happen to us.
It definitely did happen to us. And I'm glad we're 2 years on the other side of it and
Yes,
still going strong.
absolutely. Well, if you like this podcast episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, Responding
Yeah.
Together. You can follow us
It's
on Instagram, on Facebook. What are some other ways, babe, that they can get involved in the podcast?
Instagram, Facebook. The Confessions of a Medic's Wife is on TikTok, so you can follow us there too. Share it with another first responder and their family if you enjoyed the content, and grab your Go folder in the show notes. You won't regret having that when or if an emergency happens to your family.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, if you have a pulse, you're going to have an emergency at some point. And it's not
Yep.
to fear monger anybody, but it's
Nope.
just life, right?
It is.
Things happen.
Yep.
So
Life happens.
um, you need to
Do your
pre-plan,
best
as
to
we
be
talked in the last
prepared.
podcast. Yep, prepare, and that will, it's amazing how much stress will be alleviated when you already have things in place.
Yep.
So, because then you can really focus on the actual emergency and not have all these other little emergencies of, oh my gosh, where did I put this? How do I do this? Who do I need to call? It's
Hmm.
all right there. And it
Yep.
just makes things so much easier in a time of true crisis.
Yep.
So,
It does.
well, I guess until next time, this is
Responding
Responding
together.
Together.
Thanks for listening. If today's episode encouraged you, we'd love for you to follow the podcast, leave us a review, and share this episode with another first responder family. Then come join the conversation on Facebook and Instagram by searching Responding Together Podcast. For more information, you can email respondingtogetherpodcast@gmail.com.